least in theory, I hope this works. If it doesn't work, I'm gonna scream it into the void. There, that's a good solution. In the meantime, good morning, everyone. Hi. How are you? You woke up for this. I'm both proud of you and surprised. I expected 3 people to wake up at 9 a.m. on a Sunday.
I always wake up at
There are 10 times as many of you in this room.
Brony Church, man.
I counted. There's 31 people in this room, including me. Which means that there's 29 of you because I have to torture him regardless because he gets to be here. I love you. So, we're here today to, well, I'm going to explain to you why I watch a show for small children. Who am I? I am Fiaura. I blow stuff up. You guys have seen me at 7 other panels this weekend. I hope. Maybe. Possibly. Or at least one of them. If you haven't, I feel bad. Because that means that I'm not obvious enough. I have 10 years doing academic research. I have published academic papers. I have a bachelor's from the University of Delaware in human sexuality, and I have a master's in human communication from Rutgers University. Guess what? I use those things to study fandoms. For science. I don't get paid to do this. Instead, the fandoms pay me to do this, which is kind of a weird thing to say. Patrons of science are the people I'm studying. Okay. Anyway. I will talk more about who this character is later, probably at some point. But in the meantime, if you want to blame somebody for all of the panels I do, blame Diamond Dia Doodle. She's a founder of BabsCon. She walked in one morning and went, "How old are the ponies?" 72 hours later and no sleep, I gave her an answer and passed out. And then woke up at BabsCon and was like, "How did I get here?" "Oh, we just drug you out to the car." So, we're going to explore a bunch of stuff. I'm going to give you fair warning. I'm going to talk about suicide. I'm going to talk about depression. I'm going to talk about anger issues. I'm going to talk about parenting. I'm going to talk about orphans. I'm going to talk about abandonment. I'm going to talk about death. If you feel like you have to get up and leave for a minute, I'm not going to be mad. However, we're going to start off nice and light and easy and hopefully entertaining. So, a lot of us have this problem where talking to other people, especially strangers, is difficult, hard, and, well, honestly, it sucks. Who here talked to the person on the airplane next to them on the way here?
I drove a lot.
Okay, who asked the gas station attendant how their day was? See? Or talk to strangers. And the show illustrates this very succinctly, because what's the first thing that happens when Twilight gets to Ponyville? Let's go find out.
Look on the bright side, Twilight. The princess arranged for you to stay in a library. Doesn't that make you happy?
Yes it does. You know why? Because I'm right. I'll check on the preparations as fast as I can, then get to the library to find some proof of...
This is her plan.
Things to talk about.
And this is what we expect to happen when we introduce ourselves to someone.
Hello?
This is what we all expect to happen, right?
Interesting, all right. My name is Twilight Sparkle.
Here's what actually happens.
Well, howdy do, Miss Twilight. A pleasure making your acquaintance. I'm Applejack. We here at Sweet Apple Acres sure do like making new friends. Friends? Actually, so, what can I do you for? Well, I am in fact...
Some of the most wonderful moments I've had is talking to a stranger on the plane and leaving as someone I know. There's a guy named Richard. I talked to him on the way to Salt Lake City. I still talk to him. He was going there to see his daughter play soccer for college. I learned a whole lot about soccer I didn't know. Such as the fact that soccer fans apparently find it insulting that you call it soccer. And Richard still talks to me despite the fact that that trip was in 2018 to Crystal Mountain PonyCon. It's kind of weird. Now that I think about it. But you know what? He's an okay guy. On the way over here, I met Doreen, which is a really old name, because she was like 70 and retired, and her husband had convinced her to read Red Storm Rising by Tom Clancy, which is something I read when I was 16. It's a terrible book, legitimately. But you know what? It's fascinatingly interesting after you think about it in retrospect. It's still bad to read. And I gave her the entire synopsis of the entire plot on the way over here. And then she acted like she finished the book in front of her husband, who was sitting next to her, who was asleep the whole time. And she could actually describe to him the main plot point. So he's convinced that she read the book. Apparently I became a convenient lie. See, these are the stories you find. It's more interesting to not take out your iPod or your laptop or your cell phone and put in earphones and completely ignore the person next to you. And instead, the moment you sit down on a plane or a bus or you have to share an Uber, you just turn to the person and you go, "Hi, my name is, what's yours?" And suddenly you're not strangers and you have a reason to talk. And suddenly your trip goes by a lot quicker than it should have, because my trip should have taken 8 hours, and I do not believe for 2 seconds it took me 8 hours to get here. I remember takeoff and landing, and that's it. Oh, and Doreen. I remember Doreen. Which is kind of, the point. So, now we're going to jump off the deep end, and we're not coming back. I apologize. The hole goes really far down. I assure you that Alice is looking down and going, how much deeper? Well, let's see. Who here's felt guilty or upset that you did something, or even ashamed? Can't see it, but I'm smiling like an idiot. Okay, I don't want to move the file, Google. I want you to... Thank you.
Punish myself for the evil I caused this night.
This is the biggest, heaviest, thickest guilt complex I've ever seen. It's world-ending consequences because you feel guilty.
Myself for how much Equestria suffered because of me. It seems I have
It's also an excellent representation of how guilt works. Guilt's regressive. It's a cycle. You feel guilty, you think about what you did, you feel guilty about what you did, you're back to square one.
How can I forgive myself? I am no better now.
Ramodesh is right, which is kind of weird to say.
Creation is about to turn the world into a living nightmare. But look at what you're doing. Nightmare.
It takes the affirmation and confirmation of others to validate that you have atoned.
That proves you're not the same pony you were then. Every pony who knows you knows that Nightmare Moon is in the past. We all trust you, Luna. Do you trust us enough to believe we're right?
And the moment you believe them, you stop feeling guilty. That's weird. Because that's how actual life works. Granted, you don't have a tantibus that wants to destroy the world, but
Speak for yourself.
Whoopsie! Right, the Cthulhu monster in the room just revealed himself. Good job. But we feel guilty about stuff we've done because we're human. It's natural. To assume that our empathy for others is wrong is silly. However, others are the ones who have to tell us that we have done enough to make up for the thing we did. And until they do, we have a tendency to keep trying to make up for it. Guess what? The show just covered what is effectively 6.5 months of therapy for most people in less than a minute. A 30-minute episode covered 6 months of therapy. Okay. And now we're going to get into some fun stuff. Because that made you all feel guilty. I made you all probably a little upset and remembering something shameful you did in the 3rd grade. Go ahead, be mad at me, it's fine. I'm okay with this. I will accept my fate. But now that you're mad, let's talk about it. Let's see. I hated this episode when it came out with an absolute passion. I had to MC this episode at BabsCon because I was playing Queen Quake. But it actually has a good point.
Ice cream. Oh, maybe we should check out the Crystal Empire because Twilight.
Trixie is just going through her day.
I had crystals on my mind.
As Starlight asked her.
Okay, we better start moving if we want to make it to the Crystal Empire.
But everything Trixie says makes Starlight upset.
Because you seem a little... What's the word?
Greatest line of all time.
No, I am great.
And this is how it looks to suppress your rage.
No, they'll get in here. What's in this?
Now, I'm not saying let your rage out immediately and immediately go at somebody's throat. But when we bottle up our anger, we're not ourselves. When we try to contain the fact we're mad, everything that the person who we're mad at does makes us more mad. Look at her sitting over there eating saltine crackers like she owns the place. Now, if somebody was actually eating saltine crackers, that would have been priceless. Point is, they're sitting over there just having lunch. They've done nothing wrong, but because I'm mad at that person, they can sit in the corner by themselves and eat saltine crackers, and I still want to punch their face in. Until you express that you're mad at to someone, that's how that works. Now, to do so in a healthy manner would be to go, hi, I'm upset. I'm actually mad. Here's why. Can we work this out? And that's how an adult would do it. How Starlight does it, she bottles it up, eventually it flies out, and it proceeds to make 3 people enragingly, lethally, murderously mad at Trixie. Don't do that. I'm still convinced Starlight's a bad pony. But yeah, the show goes over how to deal with anger and guilt. Now you're all a little depressed because you've remembered something that you felt guilty about. Now someone you felt mad about that you never worked it out. Yeah, we've all had that. I've had that. If you haven't had that, oh my God, can I have your perfect life? I'm not even being sarcastic. But let's see. How does depression work?
Say it! Tell me!
Spike is not a character here. He's a sounding board.
Your friends are all lying to you and avoiding you because they don't like your parties and they don't want to be your friends anymore.
Oh no! My friends don't like my parties and they don't want to be my friends anymore.
So yeah, Spike's a sounding board. When we are depressed, when we are upset, depression is a cyclical cycle just like guilt. I feel depressed. I don't want to do anything. I think my friends don't want anything to do with me. I feel depressed. Rinse and repeat infinitum. You can literally sit at your desk all day feeling depressed because you decided that was how it was going to be. Depression, just like guilt, requires an outside force, that is to say, outside social interaction, to intervene. Spike being a sounding board is not intervening. Spike is only affirming and therefore maintaining the cycle of depression until Pinkie Pie deflates. Her friends actually having thrown a party for her and dragging her to it is breaking that cycle. Depression and guilt are 2 things you cannot break out of on your own. It's impossible. I hate to say that, but that's the truth. Entire wars have been lost because a general was depressed about the death of his son and felt guilty, and would not express it to others, and instead continued down a path that led eventually to the destruction of his entire empire. Thank you, Julius Caesar. you've actually read the entire biography of Caesar, you know that his son died a year before he was assassinated. And that they only decided to assassinate him once he started going crazy. So, that's how depression works. And the show goes over it. Little by little. Now listen up, I'm gonna, the next slides don't have a lot of pictures, that's on purpose. I have a lot to cover, and I only have an hour and a half to do it. Even less time because we were trying to work out a tech issue before we got a tech issue. Preempt a problem and you create a whole new one.
Here's my.
Come on. Love you too, Google. Let's talk about the most depressed character in the show.
Beat Twilight Sparkle. Princess, I'm sorry it hasn't worked out how we wanted. But you have to believe me when I tell you that Nightmare Night is one of the most popular celebrations we have. Yes, I can tell by all the adoring shrieks of the children as they run away. Princess.
When you have rejection is the most common symptom prior to depression. We experience rejection every day, whether it's small or large. Some of us, it's silly things like there's not enough money in my bank account. Others of us, it's I tried to ask a girl out and she decided that she hated me. We need to understand that as you make it easier to say yes, it becomes harder to say no. Luna doesn't fit in Nightmare Night because she doesn't realize that her role in Nightmare Night isn't to be the center of attention that everyone's happy to see. Her role in Nightmare Night is to scare people for fun. And once she understands that and changes that role, she becomes accepted and she accepts that this can be fun. So, how do we see that? Let's think about it. How much easier is it for your boss at work to say yes to something if you've already got an action plan ready to go and you explain to him who's going to do what and how they're going to do it and when they're going to do it and how it's not going to interfere with anyone else's schedule, versus coming up and asking, hey, can we just not do this way? It's 10 times harder for him to say, well, no, if you come up to him with a full-bore plan of how to implement it on the spot. Because he has to give you a reason why your plan won't work. And if he can't, he has to let you try it. You've now set it up where rejecting you is harder. Taking a bath, having your hair groomed, wearing nice clothes, and being confident is a lot harder for someone to say, no, I'm not going out on a date with you, than it is if you show up still in your pajamas with a bed head and a half scraggly beard. For us as human beings, we want to say yes every single time we're asked a question. Because we don't want to give rejection as much as we don't want to receive it. But we have to make it harder to say no. And even if we're still told no, that way we now have the knowledge that we did everything we could to get yes. And can move on. Alright, I said we were going to talk about suicide. Let's take a look at some suicide intervention the wrong way and the right way. Because, Starlight, I hate you for this.
Into a million pieces.
Suicides often begin with a form of rejection. That is to say, you have a fight,
Come on.
you have a broken relationship,
The pathetic and friendless
or you
gypsy.
lose
Way to
someone in
go,
your life
Dum-Dum.
in
You
some other
really
way.
messed it up this time. Repentance tour.
That's a cry for help.
It's a working title.
That's a blatant cry for help.
Behold, your fears come true. A pony.
The audience should realize something's wrong. She normally does a lot of flair when she's presenting these things.
For tonight, the great and powerful Trixie will be performing the Moonshot Manticore Meltdown. Now, save your gasps for when I defy the beast's jaws of doom and appear inside that black box.
Remember, she can't do this trick.
My great and powerful
The audience might not know that, but Starlight does.
Great and powerful friend. Starlight, when I
Also, yes, they're literally called pony-eating manticores for a reason.
My own decisions and my own friends.
This is not how you deal with this.
I shouldn't have tried to.
You do not try to fix your own problem first. Twilight, you're being stupid.
You have to make
Starlight, you're bad.
and your own friends.
I'm actually mad about this episode,
What
can you
if
tell?
Trixie really was using me just to one-up you? From what I've seen, she's the real thing.
You're letting her put herself into the position to die,
It's all up to you.
and you're not intervening yet.
Starlight, if you're out there and you still want to be friends, let's be great and powerful together.
By the way, no one actually wants to die. They simply want the pain to stop. Granted, that is an incredibly painful way to go. Considering that in less than 5 seconds she has that much damage to her clothing and is barely conscious, I would estimate that she has about 1 minute before she's completely nothing but manticore poop. Yes, I said poop. That is not how you do a suicide intervention. You do not deal with your bullshit first. You stop the act. You can deal with the other stuff later. You can't save the life later. Now, let's see this done correctly.
You decide something?
I keep all my original clips from research. The only way I could get this episode at the time when this panel was created was with Russian subtitles.
Be here to be turned into a statue if Twilight hadn't cast a spell in the first place.
Whoa, I thought you were arguing over ice cream flavors.
The answer is still no. Why would you want to be turned into stone?
Because I'm a relic of a bygone
Twilight is
day.
allowing him to convince her that this is okay.
Safe, reserved, untouched. I don't belong in this time.
Sometimes you are the worst princess. I want you to know
There has to be a
that.
better way.
Twilight, please understand.
Last
I want to be
name.
remembered as the hero I was, not the disappointment I've become.
But you're not. Rockov, wait!
That's a attempt, but you should physically stop him.
Turned into stone.
Best creature!
You did not believe it.
Stop the
I'm
act!
afraid it's true.
Physically, if necessary.
Only me finish first some major story for class.
It's sweet.
Call the cops if you have to, but stop the act physically.
But I'm afraid old stories like mine aren't worth anything in this day and age.
Fine. If only no one tells
Explain what they mean to you.
Pony story.
Show them that they mean something important.
When Yona comes to pony school, Yona not fit in. Pony way strange, but Yona find friends. Yona meet Professor Rockov. Pony brave and strong as yak, not afraid, hero. When Yona grow up, Yona wants to be just like Professor Rockov.
Well,
Give them a reason to spend time with
trouble of
you.
Writing something that nice. I suppose the least I could do is tell you the rest of the story.
And then give them a new purpose in life.
Now all want to hear stories. Okay.
That is 9 months to 9 years of therapy in 2 minutes. That is how you stop a suicide and stop it for good. Physically stop the act. Explain what they mean to you. Get them to go do something else with you. And then over time, give them a new reason to stay. Because an unfinished task is one of the greatest motivations to stay alive. Yak, best creature. Period.
Agreed. Don't ever ask Jack.
Now I'm going to talk about some stuff a little less serious and bring it back down. There are a bunch of you who are Fluttershy's. I'm not going to make you raise your hands. That's rude. You're socially anxious. This is kind of what I expect, from you and to happen to you on a regular basis.
I've never heard you sing a solo like that before.
It was like a little slap.
People give you praise for things you do,
Not to
and
shout.
you get really nervous and self-conscious.
Believe your spectacular voice isn't part of the Ponytones quartet.
Well,
Especially since you're having us perform for your Ponyville Pet Center fundraiser tomorrow night.
you see,
And then people try to push you into a situation you're not ready for.
Fine. You must share that stunning voice of yours.
Come on, Rarity, calm down. Pinkie Pie, no. Pinkie Pie, stop being an asshole.
the center of attention, a shining star, with every pony staring at you, judging you, jealously noting how they
Pinkie Pie, knock it off.
And then, when you choose, they'll turn on you, becoming a seedy.
No, she knows perfectly what she's doing. This is being a dick.
Pinkie Pie.
Now,
Rarity hits her.
with time and effort, this is the important part. People who are socially anxious require a familiar safety net to go into social situations. What that means is you hold their bloody hand. You stand behind them and let them know, I'm here. If you need to hide, I'm a body shield. And you push them very gradually, very gently, to go do the things they want to do, and you do them with them. They're your friend. You want them to see them happy, and you want them to do the stuff they want to do. You do the activity with them. Sometimes you might not like it, but part of being a friend is sometimes doing stuff as a compromise. We're gonna go down Splash Mountain, but in exchange, you're coming with me to go do the Viper Loop. I don't like Viper Loops, but I really like Splash Mountain, but I don't want to take either ride by myself. Now, slowly but surely, they will stop using that safety net. They will work their way to be their own person. And you end up with this.
What did you say?
No.
Oh, I hate to be you right now. Because I
They learn to be assertive.
The world of hurt unless I will get his money. Pronto!
As I recall, during your workshop you promised 100% satisfaction.
This is a 5-season arc.
I'm not satisfied.
What do you mean you're not satisfied? Every pony has always been satisfied.
Well, I guess I'm the first then. But since I'm not satisfied, I refuse to pay. It's as simple as that.
I couldn't believe this.
Me either.
Are you sure you're not just a little bit satisfied? Because maybe we could cut a deal. I mean, we're both reasonable creatures, aren't we?
I'm sorry, but no means no.
It actually does.
No, huh? Nobody's ever said that to me before. Huh. I gotta remember that one. That's a good catchphrase for my next workshop.
Slowly, they will become more and more assertive. They'll go do activities on their own, even without you. They will take steps, and you shouldn't be mad or feel like they've abandoned you. They've decided that they don't have to have a safety net anymore to go enjoy the things they want to do. They step forward and they say, this is my thing now. It can take months, years, a lifetime. But eventually, so long as you're there for them and teach them that they don't have to be afraid, they will eventually stop being afraid. That's how you overcome social anxiety. It took Fluttershy 5 seasons from 8 different episodes to get to that point. I'm not saying anybody had a plan, they didn't. But somebody was paying attention. I don't have a clip for this one. Listen, dirty shippers. Dirty shippers. You can ship fictional characters all you want. I don't care. Don't ship your friends, please. 88.6% of people who end up in couples and marriage counseling, because couples counseling is for people who aren't married, were hooked up by their friends. Look, just because you think 2 people who know each other are perfect for each other does not mean they are. They have to decide that. Love happens. Love takes time to develop. Because you have a crush, you have experimentation, you have lust, and then eventually, if they go through compromise and understanding, they get to love. Just because you think 2 people are good, they're probably not. There's a reason why they're not dating. Please don't hook up your friends. Also, Cutie Mark Crusaders, that's technically a crime. I know. Now, how many of you have a regular day job? Thank you for making it where I don't. But this is probably what it feels like when you clock in every morning. Am I wrong? You have to wear a uniform. You have to wear a name tag. This is what it feels like. It sucks. And this is what it feels like when you clock out. Or you work at what's called a functional workplace.
Whoa, these are my old skis. This is where I first met Starlight.
Maybe you can reminisce another time. She's almost to the caves.
If you are in charge of any number of employees, this is a lesson for you. Whether it be 5 or 500. Their unique talents, let them save the day. Not everyone being the same. Who thinks the secret to keeping employees is to pay them more money? Good, you're all educated. Well, one person isn't. I'm not going to call you out. The secret is actually making them happy. Did you know that 70-something% of employees will take a lower paying job if they're happy to be there? Did you know that that happiness can come in the form of letting them hang up a poster, wearing a pin, or some other method to decorate themselves, or not having to wear a bloody uniform? What? Yeah. Uniformity and corporatism is not for everybody. As a matter of fact, it's not for the vast majority of us. We would be significantly happier if we could wear clothes we actually like. Wearing pins and decorating your clothes should be allowed. I don't care if your office looks like a Metallica edgy concert reject. Do you get the job done? Are you happy to be here? Whatever. Do it. My artists all the time expect me to be rigid and have like details and keep deadlines and everything, and I'm like, you guys have 2 weeks. If you don't get it done in 2 weeks, ask for an extension. I don't care. I want you to do the work. I want you to do the work the way you want to do it. Some of my artists, like Vivani, will deliver a sketch and then deliver a full-blown brain animation that's hand-drawn using cell shading of 24 hours, and I think she's crazy. Others of my artists are supposed to deliver 2 pieces of artwork per month and only deliver 1. But both of them are extremely high quality and I can't argue with the result. I don't care how you work. It's not my place to care. My place is only to care about the end result. And that you're happy doing what you're doing. I have 6 artists. But because of the work conditions I provide them, I pay 25% less on average than their normal commission rates to the public. Because not because that's what I offered them, but because they asked me, since I'm a more consistent customer who pays them up front, if I wanted a discount. And I said I'd appreciate it, but they don't have to give it to me. 5 out of 6 of them gave me a discount. And I still give them a raise every 3 months. If I can afford it. If I can't afford it, it's every 6 months. Work with the people that you have. Figure out how to make them happy, and figure out how to tell corporate to go get shoved. Because you run a happy, efficient workplace. I don't care if they want to wear a giant pin on their chest. If it makes them happy and it doesn't interfere with their work, what's the problem? Don't be these two! Please! Find the balance. Don't be, I don't feel anything, baka! And at the same time, don't be, I want to get in touch with my emotion. No, find balance, find the middle ground, please. There's a time and place for expressing emotion and a time and place for being stalwart. Find that place. Also, Spike, why did you create your own problem? Never mind, that's an answer for later.
Because he's Spike.
Little white lies don't hurt, do they? Santa Claus is real! You thought this was going to be Applejack, didn't you?
Pinkie Pie, wait! I know now that I should have been honest with you from the start, because lying to your friends is wrong. And because getting rid of all those pies was a giant hassle. I mean, look, any idea how many pies you've made for me over the years?
Yes, I know exactly how many. I have a very detailed piling system.
Of course you do. The point
That
is,
pun was worth it. I don't care what anybody says.
spare your feelings.
Quality.
I was wrong. So, to make up for it...
However, in this episode, hearing gay, lesbian, rainbow horse scream, I don't like pie,
Well,
was
it's
priceless.
For me to eat in front of me.
Point is...
And that is
I'm
terrible.
eating this pie for
And so is that pie.
Wait, that smelly circular monstrosity is a pie?
Yeah!
There's a
I
second
know I
point
can't
here
go
that
back
you have
to
to
the other pies you
understand.
made for me in the past. So, instead, I'm gonna eat this giant one for you now. So, here I go!
Also, once again, Pinkie Pie's house will completely defy the laws of physics.
Wait! I can't watch him do this! Is that crust or some kind of concrete?
Yeah, honestly, I have no idea.
Oh, I can't believe you're willing to...
So there are 2 lessons to take away from here. 1, little white lies hurt. If I cook something for you and you don't like it, you should tell me because I don't want to cook it for you again if you don't like it. That's simple. 2, this is the important one. Grand gestures are meaningless without the substance behind them or change. You have to be willing to change for your friends. You have to be willing to apologize and make the adjustment. You have to be willing to say, I need to do better. I wrote 3 entire novels on the basis of do better. Not do your best. Not try. Just do better. I don't care how. Little white lies do hurt. They build up to big problems later because it's the little things, it's the tiny, itty bitty things that grind against you every day that end relationships. Talk about them, figure it out, and admit that sometimes you just were trying to avoid hurting someone's feelings when in the long term, that's the worst thing you could have done. Now we're going to jump back into some serious notes. Well, not quite. I was wrong. We're going to talk about Pinkie Pie and babysitting. We're going to talk about children. Oh, wait, this is going to get really serious really quick, isn't it?
Yes.
How do you understand kids? Anybody know? No? I didn't think so. Because I really don't either, but I do have a basic understanding. This is chaos. Why does crying make the kids realize that Pinkie Pie has a problem with what they're doing? No, actually, but close. Why do they think that makes it better?
You know, you're right. That is funny.
No, there's a completely different reason. And it's the understanding of children. And it's why we refer to the innocence of children. We as human beings have to understand that children get two emotions at birth. Joy and sadness. That's it. Those are the two most basic emotions in existence. And that's how children understand the world. Does this make me happy? Does this make me sad? That's all they get. We as adults have a range of complex, developed emotions. But when you're trying to explain it to a child, you have to come down to their level and bring it to them. You can't bring them up to you. They haven't developed like you have yet. You have to come down to their level. Some children might get emotions like pride and love and envy and joy, not just happiness, but actual joy or other things that you might have to describe to them. Some don't. You have to figure out where each individual child that you interact with is when you're trying to explain your feelings to them. Some children get anger. Some children don't. But anger is also tied to things like frustration and annoyance, which are definitely different emotions. I can be frustrated and not actually angry. I can be annoyed at you but not mad at you. That's a different, complex thing. And kids don't get that. We as adults need to come to them. And you will find children so much easier to interact with if you understand how to break down what you're feeling and what you're trying to explain to them as joy or sadness. Those are the only two emotions that you know for sure that they'll get. That's why they decide to stop when Pinkie Pie starts crying. Because they understand that emotion. They understand that Pinkie Pie is sad. And that's why they think pouring flour on themselves will make her happy. Because they find that makes them happy and ends their sadness. Bet you didn't know the show was going to teach you how to parent. Now, I have not seen my wife in 2 years. Thanks, COVID. I might not see her still because I was supposed to leave Monday to go to England directly from here. I'm being informed that England may be going into lockdown, which means I might get to the airport and be told, you're stuck in Columbus. Good luck. I might get to JFK, get ready to show my passport to leave the country, and be told, so sad, turn around.
You were in this place. No. You sent me to Ponyville, which means it's time for me to send Starlight Glimmer away.
But every time I have to go home, back to the States, or every time she has to go back to England,
it really is time for
it's
Starlight
this.
to go, isn't it?
It's this.
Only
Every
you can
time.
make that decision. It's a difficult one, but your heart knows what's right, even as it hurts.
Where are you going to send her? Too soon.
Yes, Spike, too soon.
No, this is something I have to do. Oh, boy. Oh, boy?
the harder and harder you grip something, the more it slips through your fingers.
I do actually have some good news regarding that. There's an article on here that says that they won't be locking down before Christmas.
We'll see. That's a big we'll see. Because the Netherlands is locking down on Wednesday. They've already told everybody to come home.
Good luck.
France is locking down on Thursday. They've already told everybody to come home. South Africa's already locked down. But in the meantime, I have to let her live her life. She's on vacation for sabbatical before she does her internship to be a veterinarian. I can't every single hour of every single day check on her, and she can't do that to me, or the two of us can't do anything. If she checked on me every single hour of every single day, it would interrupt this panel that I'm giving you right now. I have to let her have her life, and she has to let me have mine. Even if we lived under the same household, under the same roof, 24/7, that would still be true. Of your friends, lovers, associates, employees, it doesn't matter. Every relationship you have, you are one facet of many relationships that that person has, whether it's to their dog, their toaster, their mother, or their best friend. You have to let them live their life and make their mistakes. We as humans learn from our mistakes 10 times faster than we do from getting it right. My job as your friend is to be your safety net and catch you when you screw up and advise you when you ask me, not to stop you in the first place. And that's so hard to learn that balance. And if you truly are best friends, lovers, or what have you, when you see each other again, you'll pick up like no time has passed. I've ragged Brony Critic at least 7 times this weekend, and we've just been friends. We haven't seen each other since last Trotcon, and we haven't spoken to each other since sometime in 2020. It's the end of 2021, and we still act like a day hasn't passed. We're actual friends. And that's something we have to remember. Now, I've added a couple slides to this panel since 2019, and even a couple clips. This isn't one of them. That's the wrong clip, as usual. I always forget. These clips are mislabeled.
Said that in 2019
And I'm
too.
being upset.
Yeah, I never fixed it because it's entertaining.
Guys, stop it.
I'm not perfect.
Or maybe whoever did it is only pretending to be upset to throw us off. Me? But I didn't!
Come on, let it go.
Come on! Ocellus, you know you did it. Just fess up.
I said stop fighting! That's not what the holidays are about. No matter what you call them, or how you celebrate. Do you know how lucky you all are? With your stories about sharing and kindness and getting together with every creature that you care about?
This is important.
Griffins do that too, don't they?
Christmas is next week.
Holiday about a moon?
Hanukkah ends at the end of this
Blue Moon
week.
Festival. The one time of year when
Ramadan ends in
nice.
2 weeks.
Well, as nice as we can be. Families get together to eat and then complain about the food and give each other presents they don't like, and mostly just to try not to yell at each other.
Well, at least you get to be with your family.
This is a very important note.
Because I don't have a family.
Gallus was an unwanted ward of the state that they decided to get rid of.
That's just his name. He's not any
To
good.
a school they were convinced would fail.
Felt like I never had a place in Griffinstone.
Think about that.
And I came here and, well, met all of you. So I don't want to go home for the break. And that's why I did it.
Griff!
At the time of the show's debut, the target age was between 8 and 11. That age changed to 8 and 10, and then 8 to 12. Which is kind of weird to say, but they actually changed the age range between seasons. The point here is this. It's 2021, almost 2022. Where are those kids now? They're freshmen to juniors in college. 1 in 3 college students don't go home for Christmas. Or the holidays, whatever they celebrate. You want to get more real? ER rooms have a 180% spike between Thanksgiving and New Year's. Between suicide, domestic violence, and accidents. Three weeks ago, I was officially released from my NDA from the military. Everything I've done is now requestable by the Freedom of Information Act. Which means I can say this. 11 years ago, a group of 19 guys got together. Missing one person because none of us bothered to check. We got together on Christmas Eve, had a party, had a great time. Half of us were plastered. We passed out together. We made sure everyone woke up the next morning for Christmas and exchanged gifts. While we were exchanging gifts, our captain walked in, looked at all of us, and then announced that my spotter was found dead on his floor because no one invited him. He drank himself to death. And if one of the 19 of us had bothered to say a damn thing, he might still be alive. Where are they for New Year's? You got a couch? You got a floor? Offer it. Because you don't know. Unless you ask, do you have somewhere to go? You just don't know. It's been 11 years and it still hurts like it was yesterday. And I miss him. I miss him something dear, fierce. So remember that. Christmas is next week. If you don't have somewhere to go talk to your friends. Because just the act of being asked drops the suicide rate by 80%. Just the act of asking can stop it. If you've got a couch, if you've got an inflatable mattress, if you've got a floor and a sleeping bag, it is better to be awkward than to be alone. And you all know I'm right. You would rather have awkward sweaters and weird gift cards and a strange dinner on a paper plate than to sit at your house alone by yourself and have nothing. Wouldn't you want that for your friends too? And how many of us are just like Gallus, where we don't know where we're spending Christmas. We don't know where we're spending New Year's. I never know where I'm spending them. Especially the last 2 years. I've had nowhere and nothing. I was supposed to spend it with my wife. Well, what do you do when the country your wife is in won't let you in? And you try to make alternative plans, and instead you just end up locked in your room because that's the safest thing to do. Check with your friends. Make sure they have somewhere, and if they don't, figure something out. Even if it's a video call, or them spending the holidays with a friend of a friend. It is so much better than being alone. I've got a few more slides, and I've got about 20 minutes, give or take. Now we're going to talk about divorced parents, because guess what? The most common source of not wanting to go home for the holidays is mom and dad are fighting. I swear I'm going to kill Google one day. Again, original clip I had to go steal. Because this clip is altered in the Netflix version. And I prefer original data that aired.
Son, there you are. Your friends told us how you've been feeling.
And we're sorry if we ever made you think you had to choose between...
This is an allegory for divorced parents.
That wasn't our intention, honey.
I wish this voice actor was actually here to see this.
Heritage is something to be proud of, certainly.
But you're more than just where you're from or who you live with. We love you because you're you, no matter where you choose to be.
You don't have to decide. You can keep doing what you've been doing, going back and forth.
That's a wonderful compromise.
Places.
Thanks for everything. Hey, are you glowing?
We seem to forget something. The most traumatizing question that can ever be asked of a child is, do you want to live with mom or dad? It's usually asked by a judge. It is the worst thing you can do to a child. I get it. There's domestic abuse. That's fair. You're fighting each other, and that's a problem. That's fair. The sins of the parent do not pass to the sins of the child. Period. You once loved that person enough to make a kid. I don't know how, I don't know why, and I don't know what your decisions were to that point, but you're now responsible. Both of you. Suck it up. Make a compromise. Figure it out. Make it work. And stop trying to get at each other using your child as a weapon. That's not fair. They didn't do anything wrong. They shouldn't be punished for your mistakes. That takes a lot, by the way. But the greatest image I ever saw from 2019 was a football field. We call it soccer. With 4 people sitting down, wearing the same blue shirt, but with different text on the back. Mom, stepdad, stepmom, dad. They had just enough space between them for their kid to come sit down when he was done. They made an agreement that it's okay to disagree, but it's not okay to take it out on them. Figure it out. Go to counseling. The last thing you want is to give your child a mental disorder because of your mistakes. And you really don't want to make the mistakes of your parents. You want to make all new ones, because that's the fun part. Let's keep going. I told you this rabbit hole was going to go far. This isn't even the final lesson, because guess what? There's an addendum. But there is a final lesson from the show. A final piece of the puzzle. And it happens in 10 seconds. Blink and you miss it. The show began by opening a book on an open field and ended by closing it. But we all remember what was in the book. We read it. We watched it. We enjoyed it. Anytime you begin a relationship, whether it be with a TV show, the person next to you, or a friend across the ocean, or your boss, it doesn't matter. You come with the innate exception that that relationship is eventually going to terminate. That's a finite. Terminate, by the way. It doesn't restart after that point. In human communications, we refer to this as the paradox of relationships. It literally means that we seek them out, we desire them, but we understand they are fleeting and will end. That end can be a fight. It can be a dissolution of interest. It can be a separation. It can be a moving away, or it can be a death. But this is the important part. Every relationship you've had with everyone has changed them in some way, for better or worse. And every relationship everyone's had with you has created you, and has modified you, and has made you a different person. You become the living legacy of that relationship, and in some cases, the living, breathing history of a human being. I have a bunch of people who have passed away, who I was friends with when they passed away. So long as I continue to touch other people and change them, they live on vicariously through me. No one is ever truly dead. They simply have taken a new form in that of how they have changed the people who came after them. And now we're going to talk about death. Because it seems so finite, so fitting to talk about an end. Death has many stages.
Many animals hibernate to conserve energy.
It takes a lot to get through all of them.
It's like taking a really
My Little Pony does it in one episode. Every stage of grief.
And see, even Tauruses do it. When the time comes,
And in this 2-minute clip, we're going to see them all.
ground. But don't worry, he'll reappear when the spring sun warms the ground back up.
Come on!
Denial.
Don't hibernate? Some pony put that picture in there as a joke.
It's not a joke.
Well, then your book must be wrong.
Rainbow Dash, Tank needs to hibernate. It's healthy for him, just like
She's right.
it's healthy for us.
Whatever. Okay, thanks. Come on, Tank.
Luckily, getting ready to hibernate.
Anger.
Say that word!
Which one? Snuggly? Luckily? Tank? Hibernate?
That one!
I was just saying how cute it
If you think you know, that napping thing is so cute. Why don't you go do it? Somewhere far away from here. Well,
Have you ever bargained so hard you tried to change the climate of the earth?
just have to stop winter.
Man, that's
How are you
rich.
feeling, Rainbow Dash?
Depression.
The poor thing looks so sad. Just what are we going to do? I don't know what we can do.
Buck up, Sugar Cube. You just ain't yourself these days.
Whatever.
Acceptance.
I think so. I feel better. Really, I do. Thanks, every pony.
And one final
For
stage.
what I'd do without you.
Hope.
Him. Oh, Tank. I'm sure gonna miss you.
There's a very simple riddle. I shine brightest in the darkness, yet I emit no light. What am I? Hope. It's strange to say, but without me, you are completely lost. What am I? Hope. We survived 2020. We're still making it through a plague. Rainbow Dash goes through every stage of grief in a 20-minute episode. Sometimes in the most ridiculous, cartoonish ways, but she still does it. Some of us didn't make it. My best friend. His name was Von Holtz. Notice it was. He died of COVID in March. I screamed. I screamed so loud that the neighbors called the cops. I went to his funeral and I broke his brother's jaw. I was that mad. Because his brother didn't take this seriously. His brother went to church without a mask, came home, gave COVID to the entire family. His mom told his brother while he was on the ground, go ahead and call the cops. I'll say I did it because you deserve that. That's how upset with him we are. I miss him. I miss a lot of people. One of the people who makes stuff for my table right now has COVID. He's vaccinated, thankfully. But I don't know if I'm going to hear from him today or not. Or tomorrow. Or the next. One of my voice actors got it. People who work on my audiobook got COVID. He got over it. He still can't taste anything. It's been 2 months. He still can't taste anything. That might be permanent. This past 2 years, we have endured a lot of sadness and grief and a collectivized trauma. All you have to do is say COVID and everyone flinches. Everyone feels something. Whether that something is fear, regret, sadness, or a giant fat pot of depression and disillusion that you didn't get to have what you wanted for 2 years. However, there's still hope. You're still breathing. That's a bargain I'm willing to take. We're still breathing. I go get a COVID test this afternoon, third one this weekend, because it's required by England that I get COVID tested every day I might have been exposed leading up to my trip. Again, I have no guarantee that I'll even be allowed on the plane still. But I do it because I hope. I come here to see you guys because I hope that one day we don't have to wear masks at these conventions anymore. It'll be optional. I'm still fighting. And that's important because it leads to one question. Many people understand that in Eastern cultures they worship their ancestors. It's not worship in the sense that you have to follow in their footsteps. That's wrong. It's worship in the sense of a single question. One question. Would they say they're proud of you? That's it. That's the only question you have to answer. Would my spotter Rickles, would my best friend Von Holtz stand on this stage right now and say they're proud? I hope so. And if they wouldn't, I need to fix it. Welcome to Brony Church, where a show taught us how to be adults again. I'm going to fix this slide real quick, assuming Google will let me. But in the meantime, I'll start taking questions. Now, I don't have business cards. You wanna know why? Because just like me, you put them in your pocket, you forget they're there, they go through the washing machine, and then they're useless. Everyone here has a phone, and I'm going to use the Blizzard line. Don't you have phones? You probably do. And you could probably take a picture. Or you can go on right now and log into those. By the way, I have to fix the Discord link too, because we have something really cool now. But in the meantime, who has a question? And please leave that slide up. Yeah, we got a Vanity Discord link about a month ago. Now, before I take this question, I want everyone to understand something. I came here because I wanted to. I ran 7 panels. I was on 9 of them total. I still have to do the charity auction this afternoon. I'm going to throw out my voice. I already know I am. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to find out if I still get to go see my wife. And I still don't land in England until Wednesday morning. And until I'm through border security, there are no promises. Panels like this, and all the other things I ran, the voice actors who work for me, the film editor who's in the front row whose computer I'm borrowing, that's only possible with your support. I run a table in the vendor hall because I want to give you a physical thing for your support. I keep less than 1% of the money that goes through it. The rest of it gets dumped back into projects to get access to research materials, to get access to academic journals, to pay voice actors, to pay video editors, to pay for software they need, to just make everything work. And now I have to get on a plane. And I don't know if my plane ticket will be any good tomorrow. That's a really scary thought. Because if my plane ticket's no good tomorrow, and I don't sell at least half the books on my vendor table, my employees are not getting Christmas bonuses. Because I'll have to buy a plane ticket home. So hopefully I'll see some of you over there. Now in the meantime, the gentleman in front here in blue has the first question.
What kind of fun content was there that didn't make the cut in this panel?
What kind of content was there that didn't make the cut in this panel? 6 slides. One of them talks about communism. One of them talks about how you interact with people of power and how you can't really do anything about it. And a couple of others. The kind of content that was cut was the kind of content I realized that if I presented would just make you feel bad because you realize you can't do anything about it. And I wanted to give you content where you realize that you can make the change and do something about it. And if I had more time, a full 2 hours, this would have 20 more slides. Because there's a list of slides I want to add and I just can't. An hour and a half is a lot to ask from a convention, and I'm very thankful to the man in the pirate hat in the back. Anyone else? You can ask anything. I'm not going to be mad. I'm going to put my mask back on because I think I'm done crying. Yes? How am I? Terrified. That's a good answer. Alive. That's about it.
Trying to do best you can with what you got.
What was that?
They're trying to make the way of the world, doing the best you can with what you got.
Exactly. I'm figuring it out as I go, kind of rolling the dice and hoping they keep coming up boxcars. That was a craps joke. Nobody plays craps anymore. Anybody else? I can hardly see. Going once? Going twice? Yes.
I give you a hug.
when I get off stage. Anyone else? Alright. I will hopefully see you in the vendor hall or at the charity auction. Because I'm going to be up here with Foley and we're going to have fun. But in the meantime, have a good rest of your con and check on your friends. Thank you.